A shout out to those requesting a tutorial for the ENBs. This one has been in the pipeline for quite a while, and after wrapping my head around it all, I've spent a lot of time writing and rewriting to try and condense the information as best as possible to make sure that it's easy and simple to follow. So I really hope that this pays off, and if it does, please comment, let me know if it was any good. Give us a thumbs up if you feel like it, and of course hit that subscribe button, and there'll be plenty more modding tutorials on the way. I'm ADHDecent, let's get stuck in. ENB, or Enhanced Natural Beauty, is a mod that overhauls the graphics and the textures within the game. So, to break it down, imagine that you're posting an Instagram picture. Then, you might want to apply the filters that are required before finally posting. The next level up from that would be something along the lines of a movie. You have the footage that you want, and then the editor applies color correction, and then it's ready to go. Well, Skyrim, or adding an ENB to a game, is kind of the next level up from that. You have your game that you want, then you apply your ENB preset before finally rendering it in-game and seeing the results. You may be able to see why this is a somewhat complex procedure. Essentially what you're doing is you're applying a filter constantly to an ever-changing game dynamic. Because the game is responding to what you're inputting, the ENB needs to be applied to whatever you are personally doing within the game and what you can see, rather than it being applied to the whole of the game in every scenario, which your PC wouldn't handle. Now this is where the higher end PCs come into play. You might have seen quite a few videos about how they've overhauled Skyrim and made it look quite fantastic, using a number of different mods starting from ENBs to SMIM, and then applying texture overhauls, etc, etc. Now this is great, but unless you have the specification that you want, your PC is simply not going to be able to run it. You're going to end up with something like 5 frames per second. So what you need to do is you need to picture yourself on a scale. Imagine yourself going from a low-end PC all the way up to a high-end PC, and picture it as a kind of scale. Then you want to determine whereabouts on that scale you believe your PC specification sits, and then apply an ENB accordingly based on the advancement of the ENB. You're going to want to then choose your ENBs accordingly to your position on that scale. This will help avoid your PC from struggling too much. For this video, we will look at a mid-range ENB quality. Similar to SKSE, you'll need to install the ENB software into the game directory itself. We will then apply a preset after that. Search for ENB series Skyrim. I will leave a link in the description below. At the bottom of the page, you will see the version numbers. Find the latest version number, in this case 0.475. Select it. Here you will see a full description of the updates to each version. Scroll to the bottom of the page and click Download. Once it is downloaded, visit your Downloads folder. Now open up your Skyrim game directory, in this case Steam Apps Common Skyrim Special Edition. Right-click on the recently downloaded zip file, select 7-zip and extract. Double-click on the extracted folder. Double-click Wrapper version. Now you want to select all of the files except for the README and the license at the bottom. Drag these and drop them into your Skyrim game directory. You can now close the Wrapper version window. Installing a simple ENB. Now visit Nexus Mods and search for your ENB preset. For this example, we will use the exclusive ENB. A link will be found in the description below. Go to the Files section and select Manual Download. It is important to download this manually. Once it is downloaded, open up your Downloads folder. Find the zip file, right-click and extract. Double-click on the extracted folder. Open the folder inside that. Now select all 3 files. Drag and drop these into your Skyrim game directory. Ensure that you overwrite the existing files. Now you have installed a simple ENB, you can launch Skyrim using SKSE. When you launch, you will notice some text in the top left-hand corner. This is okay. Load into your game. By selecting Shift and Enter, you will pull up a window within the game showing you the controls and settings for your ENB. Here you can adjust frame rate, depth of field, lenses and flares to your preference. Under Input, you will see the commands that you will need to enter if you wish to turn on or off your ENB. This can vary depending on the ENB installed. For this example, it's Shift and Up to turn on and off the ENB. By turning it on and off, you can see the difference. Installing a complex ENB. Complex ENBs provide a few more options to allow you to customize the ENB to your personal preference. For this example, we will use Skyrim SE Re-engaged ENB. Visit Nexus and search for Re-engaged ENB. Visit the Files section. Here you will see a number of different files depending on whether or not you are using extra weather packages. For this example, we will use the vanilla one. Once you have found ENB for vanilla Skyrim, click the manual download button. Once the file has downloaded, visit your Downloads folder. You will see the newly downloaded 7-zip file. Right-click on it, go to 7-zip, and extract to Re-engaged ENB. In the same way, open up the Re-engaged folder and the folder within. Here you will see a couple of different options based on the level of detail and the requirements of your PC. For this, we will choose a mid-range. Open the folder for your choice and select the files inside. Now you want to copy these across to your Skyrim game directory. When prompted, ensure that you replace the files in the destination. Now go back to the main Re-engaged folder. Locate the file for the optional depth of field settings. Again, you will see a number of different levels based on the level of detail. We're going to choose Soft. Open the folder inside. Now you want to open the folder ENB Series in your Skyrim game directory. This is the folder to move those 2 files across to. Now copy the 2 files across to ENB binaries inside of Skyrim game directory. Select Replace the files in the destination. Good job. You can now launch Skyrim using SKSE. When you load into your game, you can open up the window. Under Input, take note of the commands. This is where they may have changed depending on the ENB you use. Again, you can see the difference between the ENB by toggling it on and off. Good job! You have now installed ENB for Skyrim.